Nya Sanga. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakara Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam
Да, только что
Shri
подключилась.
Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, I trust everyone is well, and we're happy to see you. And today we're going to have some singing of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, and we can have some show and tell. I think there's some Vyasa Puja offerings are still on deck waiting. And then we have a few topics that I've been asked to say something about. Our general topic is the churning of the milk ocean, and we may say something about that. We may continue in our gradual sort of way. Yeah, so like that. So I think we can begin with our song, which is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Bhajana Lalasa, song number 2. Which is in the collection of the Saranagati, but it comes at the end of the Saranagati. And like other songs in the Bhajana Lalasa seems to be especially focused on the holy name, focus on longing for the blessings of engaging in the holy name, chanting the holy name. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. Okay, Hari, 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 Hare, 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 Arthera Sancaye, aya-prayāse, āno-kathā-prajalpane, āno-adhikāra, niyama, āgrahe, asat-sańga-sam, Arthera Sancaye, aya-prayāse, āno-kathā-prajalpane, āno-adhikāra, niyama, āgrahe, asat-sańga-sam, asthira, siddhānte, rohinu, mojiyā, hari-bhakti, roilo, dūre, doye, mātro, mada, pratis sphure, asthira, siddhānte, rohinu, mojiyā, hari-bhakti, roilo, dūre, doye, mātro, mada, pratis sphure, āgrahe, charite narinu, apanadosate mari, janama vipala, roilo amara, akona kikori hari, āgrahe, charite narinu, apanadosate mari, janama vipala, roilo amada, akona kikori hari, amito patita, patita pavana, tamara pavitra nama, shesambanda dhoti, tamara charane, sarana loinu hama, amito patita, patita pavana, tamara pavitra nama, se sambandha dhodi tomara charane sharana rohinu ami. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Go, Hari Bol, Nitai Go, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Go, Hari Bol. Hari He, Arthera Sancaye aya-prayāse, āno-kathā-prajalpane, āno-adhikāra niyama āgrahe, asat-sańga-sam. O Lord Hari, I have become absorbed, Sancaye, in accumulating wealth, art, Arthera Sancaye, in the absorption of wealth and endeavoring for material possessions. Vishaya-prayāse. Prayāse, we may know this word prayasa from the Upadeshamrita. Ātyahara-prayāsascha prajalpo niyama āgrahe. 6 things listed to be avoided, and one of them is prayasa, over endeavor. And here it's prayasa, vishaya prayasa, over endeavor for material things. Vishaya just means objects, really. Āno-kathā-prajalpane. I am addicted to speaking of topics apart from you. Anya, āno here, Bengali pronunciation, āno, is from Sanskrit, anya, other, so āno-kathā. Other topics. Prajalpane, we know what is prajalpa. Jalpa just means speaking, but it has this kind of negative connotation. And prajalpa, sometimes translated as gramya katha, or speaking about village matters. Gossip is really the word for gramya katha. I am always eager to accept practices apart from my own duties. Āno-adhikāra, niyama āgrahe. Āgraha, accepting, and niyama, practices, regulations. It's mentioned in 7th canto, Bhagavatam, one of the later chapters after Nrsinga Lila, instructions on Varnashrama and so on. There are different kinds of adharma, and one of them is doing others' dharma, duties that are meant for others. And of course, Krishna mentions that also in the Gita, not just once, but twice, the dangers of doing others' duties. So niyama āno-adhikāra, the others' authorization or qualification, niyama āgrahe, asat-sańga-sam. I'm in the habit of meeting with worldly men. And let's see, he's kind of merged the translation of first and second verses here. Asthira siddhānte in the next verse, absorbed in speculative thinking, must be referred to here. Rohinu, mojiyā, being absorbed in asthira, unfixed or unsettled, unfirm, siddhānte, unfirm conclusions, speculative thinking. Hari-bhakti, roilo, dūre, therefore devotion to you has remained distant. Dūre, from me. Roilo has remained. Doye mātro, para, himsa, mada, pratishta, hatā, sphure. And then there's a list. In this heart of mine dwells only mātro, doye, in this heart, mātro, only. What dwells there? Only envy and malice. Parahimsa, literally violence against others. false pride would be pratishta. Shatata, I think, is hypocrisy, deceitfulness. Mada is madness. Maybe he's taken that as false pride here. And desire for fame and honor, pratishta, sphure. Sphure is desire. Then, verse 3, eshab āgrahe chadite narinu. I have not been able to give up any of these attachments. Esab āgrahe, the grasping, firm grasping of all of this. Chadite, giving up. Narinu, I have not given up. Apon doshate madi. Thus my own faults have been my downfall. Apon is myself, doshate, in faults. Madi. Madi, I think, would mean death, but maybe just falling. Janama bipal. Pala, we know, means fruit. Bipal means the opposite of fruit or bad fruit. Or a wasted effort. Janama, this birth, is bipala, is without fruit. Roilo amar. My janama, amar janama, roilo bipal, has become. Akon kikori hari. O Lord, what am I to do now? Kikori. And the fourth verse, I am indeed fallen. Amito potita. Potita pavana. Potita pavana tomar pavitranam. Your pure name, your holy name, is Patita Pavana, is the purifier of the fallen. She Shambanda Doriha, holding on, clinging, grabbing on to that connection with the holy name, Tomar Chorane, I take shelter at your lotus feet, Sharan loinu ham. Sharana, of course, shelter. Tomar charane, your feet, at your feet. And loinu, I have taken. Hama is maybe myself, I. Maybe Sugopi knows what it's meaning, Hama. Is she there? Yes. Hama. Oh, you have to, yes, unmute.
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, Hama is myself here.
Myself, okay.
Yes.
Huh. It's, I know in Hindi, ha means we, plural. But in Bengali, it is singular, or it's kind of plural.
I think it's singular here, Maharaj.
Okay.
Generally, they say Ami,
Yeah.
but here, his Bengali language is a bit different, Bhaktivinoda, sometimes. Like it's this song is not Maithili, this is Bengali, but definitely Hama is again quite colloquial, like regional.
Yeah, because he was writing these songs for villagers, and so it might be that in some part of Bengal, this would be standard. Okay, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki jai, Hare Krishna. There was, I mentioned last time, because I said Lalasa is one type of prayer, one of 10 types, and then Avadhuta Rai sort of chased after me about that. He said, so are you going to tell us what are the others? Yeah, he's with us. So I'm happy to say I found a list of the 10 types of Vaishnava prayers. These are mentioned in, or listed apparently, in at least one edition of Srila Narottam Das Thakur's Prarthana. And the note here says these 10 forms were in use long before Narottam's time and were later exhibited in the writings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other acharyas. So I'll just go through these briefly. It would be nice to have an example for each one, but maybe that's for one of you to work on, if you like. So the first one is called Samprarthanatmika. And here we might mention again, the word prarthana is a kind of, seems like a sort of general or generic term for prayer, coming from the word artha, which means value or worth or aim, that which is sought after, that which is aimed for. So prarthana, prarthana, and then some prarthana atmika means words of direct prayer to the Lord. So I guess the emphasis here is on directly directing one's supplication to the Lord. And it may have a sense of petitioning, to petition. For example, the Devas are petitioning Lord Shiva. They have a very specific urgent need, and with that they are approaching Lord Shiva in Canto 8. Okay, the second one is Svadhyaya Bodhika, which means words informing the Lord of one's own humility. So declaring danya, declaring a sense of humility, a sense of smallness to the Lord. Svadhyaya, one's own humility. Bodhika means calling attention to, from bodh, to awaken. The third one is manasiksha, instruction, shiksha, to the mind. We have two famous examples of manasiksha, one from Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, and there is one by also Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So it's a kind of preaching, my dear mind, please be my friend. Please be my friend. Please act as a tool for serving the Lord. act as an instrument for serving the Lord. And next comes vilapātmika prarthana, statements of extreme lamentation. We've seen a lot of, I think, could be called vilapātmika songs from Bhaktivinoda Thakura, especially in the beginning of his Saranagati, lamenting about his former life and so on. We may want to say there's certainly a strong element of confession also in this kind of prayer. Going before the Lord and saying, "Here I am. This is this is me with all of my faults. I have nothing to hide." And that can be a lamentation because how many shortcomings we all have. Then number 5 is Vaishnava Mahima Prakashika, statements revealing the glories of the Lord's devotees. So glorification of the Vaishnavas. Mahima means glory. Vaishnava Mahima. And Prakashika, that which reveals, Prakasha. All of these are put in these titles of these types of prayers are put in a feminine form, and I would say also what may be called the affectionate diminutive. When something is sort of sweet and charming, we speak about it in a certain way which can be expressed within the language. This is the case, I think, in many languages, including Polish, I'm finding out. And it's also there in Sanskrit. So this ka ending, or ika, bodhika, atmika. But it also has a sense of causing to happen. Then number 6, Shri Guru Vaishnave Vigyapti Rupa, supplications, submitting oneself, made to one's spiritual master or unto the devotees of the Lord. Shri Guru Vaishnava Vigyapti. Supplication, Vigyapti. Okay, so that's addressing the spiritual master directly. Yeah, so we may include within that category our Gurvashtakam, means ours in the sense Srila Prabhupada gave to us from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And also the Guru Vandana prayer from Srila Narottam Das Thakur. These could be Shri Guru Vaishnave Vigyapti Rupa. And number 7 is Sri Dhamma Vase Lipsatmika, statements revealing the desire to live in the holy places of the Lord's pastimes. So Sri Dhamma Vase, in being a resident of the holy Dham, Lipsa, expressing desire, Atmika, having as its nature, you can say, having as its essential quality. So prayers, one example of this, which I started to, or I did actually, hear a very nice lecture from Madhavananda. Some of you may have attended the Govardhan retreat, recent Govardhan retreat of, His Holiness Sachinandan Swami and Burijan Prabhu and his wife, what is her name? Jagatarini, yes, Jagatarini Mataji and Madhavananda. So Madhavananda gave a nice talk about verse number 9 of the 10 plus 1 verses of Raghunath Das Goswami, prayers for residency, for residence at Govardhan Hill. We made a recording of this some weeks ago and posted it which I dedicated to Ananda Kishori, the late Ananda Kishori. So that would be Sri Damvase Lipsatmika type of prayer. Then number 8 is Sadhaka Deher Lalasa Suchika. A suchika is pointing out, I would say, pointing to lalasa, the longing for a sadhaka body, for a body to practice sadhana. Prayers revealing desires to execute regulated devotional service in the body of a practicing devotee. And then number 9 is similarly but different, siddhānte lalasa mayi, prayers revealing desires to execute spontaneous devotional service in the perfect spiritual body. Siddhānte lalasa. And finally, number 10, akshepa bodhika, prayers revealing intense grief and sorrow, in which one blames oneself for falling into the material world. We may say also several of the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakura have this mood, blaming oneself. In fact, we may say the beginning of this song that we just sang is like that. Yeah, so these are the 10 types that are listed. I suspect that there are other types. I suspect one could say that there are any number of sorts of prayers. So we don't want to say these are the only sorts of prayers. And of course, the whole process of prayer is one of our nine Navavida Bhakti, one of the 9 processes of devotional service. It's in some ways it takes something of a back seat. We don't speak about it much. I think in the Christian tradition they talk a lot more about prayer as a sort of basic practice for the devotee. Related to prayer, and then we can go on. I just happened to come across a nice paragraph from His Holiness Bhakti-tirtha Swami, the late Bhakti-tirtha Swami, in his book, Surrender, the Key to Eternal Life. And this is from chapter 6, Dedicate This Life to the Lord. And this is page 105. He's talking about approaching the Lord as a beggar. He says, always be in a begging spirit. A begging spirit means making ourselves accessible to divine mercy, blessings, and intervention. We want to beg intensely in order that our cries are focused with great appreciation for what can come upon us when we do the necessary now. Appreciation for what can come upon us, what can happen to us, what the Lord can give us when we do what is necessary, whatever it might be, when we do it now. Do the needful to focus the mind. And here, this is very striking. He says, the mind can be our greatest friend, but usually it is our greatest enemy. And now he says why this is the case. Very interesting. He says it is our greatest enemy because it, the mind, knows all of our secrets. The mind knows where we are weak, and it is familiar with our fears. The mind is expert in enslaving us to the senses. However, and now comes the hope. However, Bhakti Yoga enables us to control the mind. When the mind stops interfering, we're able to feed the intelligence. That's interesting, to feed the intelligence. What prevents us from feeding our intelligence? Our mind, when our mind is acting as our enemy, when the mind is interfering. When the mind is not interfering, that means we can feed the intelligence. What does that mean? To feed the intelligence is to nourish the buddhi, the intelligence, with spiritual reality. So again, when the mind stops interfering, we are able to feed the intelligence. Properly stimulating the intelligence opens up the soul, because all knowledge is contained within the soul. The whole process of self-realization is really nothing more than becoming natural again by moving the factors that cause stagnation out of the way. Stagnation, like when you have a small, we have just outside the house here, we have a small pond, and it's a stagnant pond. So in summertime, because it's stagnant, it's a very nice breeding ground for mosquitoes. So stagnation, we don't want to stagnate. to stay in one place. We want to keep moving. And I was reminded, I always cherish the advice that I got from Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj when we traveled together for a short time. This one comment he made, that he said, wherever I am, wherever I find myself, I ask myself, why has Krishna put me here? There must be a purpose. He had this firm conviction. We were distributing, we means he mainly, we're distributing sets of books in universities and libraries. And I think his mood was often like a detective, sort of, let's find out here who is going to take a set of books. And his sense was, it's going to happen. It's just up to me to find out. So I need to put all my focused attention on finding out what is my purpose here. I am an agent for Krishna. I just have to put myself in the right place, I'm in the situation now. I just have to see, I have to endeavor to see how I can be Krishna's agent, Krishna's instrument. Yeah, so this is something about prayers, begging for mercy, but with a mind which allows us to nourish the intelligence, opening up which then gives us access to ourselves. How does he say that again? I really liked how he said, the whole process of self-realization, the whole process is really nothing more than becoming natural again by moving the factors that cause stagnation out of the way. Taking whatever it is that's in the way, any obstacles, and moving them out of the way. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki jai. Hare Krishna. So,
Guru Maharaj, sorry.
Yes.
Few of us are really wondering where you were reading this from, because it was really profound. If you could tell us the book.
Yes, I mentioned in the beginning, the book is called Surrender, the Key to Eternal Life by Bhakti Tirtha Swami. And let's say when it was published, first printing 2013. Yeah, page 105. Okay, so then, Dira Lalita, I think you're in charge now.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Well, today we've got 4 devotees who would like to present asat-sańga-sam to you. So I'll just read who they are. First one is Haridev Prabhu and family from, I think they're from Beijing. And then second is Mahananda Hladini. And the third is our dear Tikshnā Rupa and Yadavi from Poland. And that's it, I think. 1, 2. Oh, I apologize. Beg your pardon. After Mahananda Hladini is Nitya Kishori. I apologize for making a mistake. And also, Daityesha Prabhu wanted to read today, but he really had a lot of difficulties. Katyayani was in touch with him, and he had very difficulties with his laptop. So he said he will try his best to fix it till next Saturday. So he would like to presenting it by himself. We suggested to him if somebody else can read it. He said no, it's very personal. I want to do it, but he said he will do it next Saturday.
Okay.
So the first is our dear God brother and sister from Beijing. Hari Prabhu and oh,
Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. This is my mother. This is my mother. She is saying Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Happy birthday. May you keep healthy and live long.
Oh, 谢谢.
Okay.
谢谢你.
谢谢你. Okay. Now, okay. Now, now my father hari-bhakti and then I can translate. Okay, Guru Maharaj.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. 开始念吧。
亲爱的咕噜马哈罗家，哈瑞库吉纳08年的莲花珠家呀，帕德，请接受我卑微的敬拜，祝您生日快乐，健康长寿。愿至尊应该是神以他的丹湾塔瑞化身，保护我的咕噜马哈罗家，我和我的神兄弟姐妹及所有的外斯纳瓦们身体健康，远离疾病。愿离心哈代瓦在四面八方所有的角落，上下内外，保护我的咕噜马哈罗家和所有的外斯纳瓦不受各种危险。您的仆人哈代瓦达斯每天早上都和普尔玛勾勒一起在微信里念诵，晚间读书唱歌的，每天还继续在家族群里读圣帕德的书，国家梵歌读完了，圣典博家瓦坛读到第5卷第3篇第30几章，次瑞才在尼亚查达密尔达读到阿迪利拉第8章，同时我也参加拉里达老师组织的网上学习。早年大学在3月1日开学，我也报名了。学习的主课是国家梵歌，辅助课程是古文。请姑姑给我言辞和训示，在这个吉祥的日子里，请姑姑允许我姓我的姑姑，愿我成为您更好的仆人，再次顶万年的莲花珠。您的仆人哈代瓦达斯请上。我在找文说。
Okay, now Guru Maharaj, could you please allow me translate? Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Happy Vyasa Puja. May you keep healthy and live long. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation as Dhamantari protect my Guru Maharaj and my God siblings and all the Vaishnavas from physical illness. May Nishinhadev protect my Guru Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas in all directions and in all corners, above, below, within, and without. Guru Maharaj, please allow me to report to you my devotional service. Every day in the morning, your servant Hari-bhakti will chant holy names with Gaura Prema on WeChat group. In the evening, we'll do kirtan or read books together. During the day, I go on reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Now I'm reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 30. and Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 8. Guru Maharaj, I also entered for University for Adelaide, which Lalita Shakti Madaji, her project, which will open on March the 1st, 2021. We study Bhakti Sastri. My main course is Bhagavad Gita. The co-curriculum is Arctic prayers. On this auspicious day, please allow me to pray to my Guru Maharaj. If you like, please allow me to become a better servant. My obeisances unto you. Again, your servant, Hardeva Das.
Hare Krishna, thank you. This is Sheshani. So to explain to everyone, Harideva is living in the quite extreme northeast of China. I don't know exactly where, but it's northeast.
Northeast, yes.
辽宁锦州，辽宁省锦州市。
Exactly. Just what I was going to say. Oh, it's not north? I was thinking it's north.
Yes, yes. 姑说，跟大家说，哈尔迪瓦住在东北。
Okay. Yeah, so, and Prema Sarovara and her husband Gaurnataraj are in Beijing. Prema Sarovara just gave us the translation.
姑说，Prema Gaura Prema 在北京。
Yes.
Okay,
very nice. Thank you, thank you.
非常好，谢谢你。
So, dear Guru Maharaj, dear God brothers and God sisters, now I will offer my Vyasa Puja. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you on the auspicious day of your birthday. On your Vyasa Puja, I would like to offer you my humble homage. You have blessed me with your divine association and picked me up from the pool of material conditioned life, the ocean of birth and death. You have given me the holy name. I was blind, thinking that serving my senses was the goal of life. But you showed me how serving Sri Radha Madhava, Sri Jagannath, Baladeva, and Subhaja, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, is the actual purpose of life, and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is my only shelter. Dear Guru Maharaj, on offering prayers to the Lord's personal expressions, I pray to the Lord that you will live a long, healthy, and happy life. May the glorification of the transcendental name, form, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead protect us from the influence of bad planets, meteors, envious human beings, serpents, scorpions, and animals like tigers and wolves. May it protect us from ghosts and the material elements like earth, water, fire, and air. And may it also protect us from lightning and our past sins. We are always afraid of these hindrances to our auspicious life. Therefore, may they all be completely destroyed by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Dear Guru Maharaj, you told me, chanting at any circumstances. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, my dear Maharaj Parikshit, one who employs this armor or hears about it with faith and veneration when afraid because of any conditions in the material world is immediately freed from all dangers and is worshipped by all living entities. On Bhagavad Gita as it is, Lord Krishna said. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 23. So I pray to the Lord, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead's holy names, his transcendental forms, his carriers, and all the weapons decorating him as personal associates protect my intelligence, senses, mind, and life air from all dangers. Allow me be able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger. Allow me listen to your instructions with faith and veneration. Offer you my humble service. Dear Guru Maharaj, you said the book in praise of my preceptor is very much for devotees. Yes, today I read this book again, and I hope that other devotees will share the nectar of this book. So I will translate the book and in the coming year to make it available. Your humble servant, Gauranath Raj Das, in Beijing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Jai, thank you. I think that's the first time I've been blessed to be protected from ghosts amongst the many animals you mentioned or beings you mentioned, ghosts as being protected. I think that's in the Narayana Kavacha. But I was reminded that just this morning we were reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse whatever it is, 30 approximately, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. It's maybe Prema Sarovar, you have to mute for translating.
Okay.
You can set the mute. Yes, there we go. Yeah, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving analogy for material consciousness. He's saying it's like being possessed by a ghost. And then he goes on to say, when one is possessed by a ghost, one identifies oneself as the ghost. So you can say there's double danger. So I'm happy to be blessed to be protected from ghosts. No, that was just a detail, but I appreciate the spirit of protection. Okay, so then.
Oh, okay, Guru Maharaj, please allow me to offer my Vyasa Puja prayers.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances to you, Srila Prabhupada. All glory to December 18th, 1950. Sorry, Guru Maharaj, I have right to use the same. Also, Mokshada Ekadasi and the Gita Jayanti day, on which day my spiritual master appeared gloriously. All glory to West Point, New York, in which place my spiritual master appeared on this planet. All glory to my Gurudev's good father and mother, from whom he was born. All glories to my Gurudev's grandfather, brother, and all the other family members who have been accompanying him all the way. All glories to all the people who love my Gurudev and whom my Gurudev loves, making his life flavorous and colorful. All glories to all the places where my Gurudev has been traveling, spreading the seeds of bhakti all the way. On the occasion of your appearance celebration, Srila Gurudev, may the Narayana Kavacha shield protect you and all the living entities in your heart at any time and any place from any potential danger, whether material or spiritual. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His most merciful incarnation, Shri Shri Gauranitai, fulfill all the sweet desires on your way of devotional service. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His most powerful incarnation, Shri Shri Nrsimhadev, bless you with good health and long life. On this auspicious day, Gurudev, if you like, shall I have your blessings to get a book? May this book be published smoothly and come out as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Sheshani.
Thank you. Happy Vyasa Puja again, your servant Prima Saura Dasi.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this is the most long spread out Vyasa Puja that has ever happened in history, I think.
Okay, Kumar, that's.
Thank you. Okay, so are we?
Yes.
What? Dear Lalita.
Yes. Well, the second is Mahananda Hladini. She's got some back. She's apologizing that she will be reading from the weird position. She's got back problems, so she can't sit straight.
Oh, it looks like she's sitting up now.
Oh, is
yeah,
she?
I'm sitting. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare
Please
Krishna.
accept my humble obeisance. All glories to you and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Happy Vyasa Puja to you, Guru Maharaj, and always stay strong and happy in your life. I am very grateful that I have you as my spiritual master. You are full of bliss and happiness, especially when you see your devotee and disciple are also happy. Your kindness and patience gives me inspiration to continue my spiritual way to Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your example, you show how everyone can read and include intelligence for reading Vedic knowledge. In your lesson is always an answer for each one of us who properly listen, because you exactly know each one of us naturally and how we can become better devotee. By your mercy and words, where there is a will, there is a way. I feel very positive to take always your shelter in every situation. Be in your company, my heart feels peace and belonging to spiritual family. Looking at your smile is on my face also. From year 2004, when I first met you personally in Rijeka, Croatia, I know that my spiritual life was began, and I am very thankful you for that and happy to know you. I didn't have much opportunity to serve you personally, but you show me that be in contact with you is writing an email or be in contact with your devotee is also a way to serve you. By this way, when you are with us from March 2020, I'm very grateful to you. You are you are really father to all of us who take care about his children. This is a really true life in spiritual family when we are in some way close to each other and you. I wish you all the best, Guru Maharaj, and thank you for guidance and everything.
Thank you, Mahananda Ladini. from living in niche, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yes, my daughter is here also, and we are okay.
Good.
I'm preparing a land in the village, so we will put some seeds on the spring, and we will have some potato and everything what to eat.
Oh,
We're
good.
planning that. Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Gardening. Very good.
Gardening. Yes. Yes.
Nice. Okay.
And then is Nritya Kishori, our god sister. I think she's in chapter 7.
Yes, I see Nritya Kishori and also Prataparudra.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances and obeisances to all devotees. First, I would like to read a short offering and then say some words how was 2020. For us, dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Thank you for your kind and expert guidance. The Saturday Zoom sessions are very enlivening and inspiring, with topics such as dialogical Vaishnavism, Kartik meditations, Narayana Kavacha, and now churning of the ocean of milk. Your taste for Srimad Bhagavatam is contagious, and I feel very lucky that I can listen to you. Srila Prabhupada wanted devotees to study Srimad Bhagavatam from all angles of vision, and already for decades we have been tirelessly working on this instruction. Thank you for showing us how to study Srimad Bhagavatam and for giving us continuous inspiration. I admire your dedication to serving Srila Prabhupada. By your example, you are showing us what does it mean to be a surrendered disciple. Your whole life is dedicated to preaching Krishna's glories. By observing your attachment and surrender to Srila Prabhupada, I feel inspired to deepen my sense of connection with Srila Prabhupada and dedication to him. I pray that I may take some steps in devotional service and more endeavor to serve you. So those were few written sentences, and last year on Vyasa Puja celebration in Germany, I told you that in Czech Republic, with my husband, we are planning to start prasadam lunch distribution, and I would like to use this opportunity to inform how it's been going and to thank you for your blessings and good wishes. By your blessings, it's been going very nicely. We live in Jihlava, that's in central part of Czech Republic, a relatively small city, around 50,000 people live in Jihlava. And as I said, we have prasadam lunch distribution. My husband is the main cook, and he also delivers lunches. In this business is also his twin brother, Harichandra Prabhu, and he's also delivering lunches. Their mom helps with cleaning kitchen and washing pots, because we all live together. And on the ground floor are my husband's parents, and on up floor in this room are my husband, myself, and in another room Harichandra Prabhu, his brother. And I'm in charge in our business. I'm in charge for social media, Facebook, Instagram, and I usually go once a week to kitchen to pack when there is more lunches. And we have some small show that last year in July there was an article in a local newspaper about them, like about our business, but mostly it was about their life. And so this article, part of the article was written by my husband, some parts we wrote together, some parts I wrote, and then also some nice parts. This journalist, he added some explanations. So this was the front page, yeah? And here in the, so here it's two of them. And on the front page, it was written, twins influenced by Krishna movement. So there was Krishna on the front page, and also in the main article, there was a few times mention of Krishna. So this was the article. The title was In the Temple, Twins Learned How to Serve. And it was quite a positive representation of Krishna consciousness. It was also about their life before Krishna consciousness, like which schools they finished. So here is a photo from brahmachari part of their life. New photo, and this photo is my husband. He was 2012, 1 year he spent in Salem, and there he was mainly serving in the kitchen. So we have a photo of him in the kitchen. And I will put in the chat, I will put a link to this article. I think in, I don't know how it works when somebody looks from outside from Czech Republic. I don't know, will there be some automatic translation, but Google Translate improved greatly during the last, like in comparison to how it was a few years ago.
Yes.
So thank you very much for all your blessings, and we ask blessings of other Vaishnavas that we may continue with this service. There are no devotees in Jihlava, and actually even vegetarians, vegans are, for me, it seems very rare in Jihlava, at least like not many, maybe 2 or 3 customers are vegetarians. And one positive story is that one young man who started to order lunches more or less from the beginning, and he was not vegetarian. After a few months of eating prasadam more or less regularly, he became vegetarian. So,
very nice. Thank you, thank you. Jihlava Yatra ki jai. I was just now thinking you might take inspiration from His Holiness Lokanath Swami for how he has transformed his hometown in Maharashtra, South Maharashtra, or South Central, Aravade. When we visited there, what is it now, already 2 or 3 years ago, he happened to be there. They were having a big festival. He showed me all around. There's a big ISKCON Krishna temple there now, guest house, everything, and it's all from his preaching. And he was a village boy who grew up there, went away to college to Mumbai, and ended up joining the Hare Krishna movement in Mumbai. His parents weren't happy about that at the time. But he eventually came back as a missionary, as a sannyasi. Now, several of his family members are his disciples. His own brothers are his disciples. But what I wanted to say is that he told me before he started preaching in Aravade, there were maybe 20% of the people were vegetarian. Now there are 20% vegetarian, 80% non-vegetarian. He said now it's reversed. There are 80% vegetarian, 20% non-vegetarian. So maybe with his blessings, you can have some change happen in your town. Anyway, good. Prasadam distribution ki jai. Hari Hari Bol. Okay.
And now Guru Maharaj, last but not least, is Krishna Prabhu and Yadavi from Poland.
Yes.
Дорогая Сумья, через 10 минут мне надо будет уйти. Я ничего не скажу, уйду, если вы или кто-то еще присутствует.
That's not Tikshna Rupa. That was Ganga Sagra.
Как-то вам сказать,
I'm looking for them. I'm looking for them.
Don't seem to be here now.
No. Yesterday, our god sister, Mukundamala, she confirmed that she had passed a message to them.
Well, anyway, things happen, things come up.
Yes, maybe next time.
Yes. Okay, so I guess we can turn to the Bhagavatam. And I've been thinking about this section of chapter 7. I've been reading because I suggested, I'm curious if any of you took it up, this reading of the prayers to Lord Shiva to save everyone from the kalahala or halahala. Was anyone taking up this
Yes, I did, Guru Maharaj.
practice? Oh, very good.
I've read it a few times.
Good. Okay. And Nandi Mukhi also. Very good. So I was not reading all these prayers each day, but I was reading these prayers. I was struck by how Lord Shiva is being glorified essentially as non-different from Lord Vishnu, and Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing in purports that, yes, actually these prayers are to Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is Vishnu in touch with material energy. So as soon as Vishnu touches material energy, he manifests as Shiva. And therefore, he is identifiable in similar ways or in the same way as Lord Vishnu. And therefore, he can be praised with the glorification that is appropriate for Vishnu. Coming toward the end of these prayers, tasyate sat asato parata parasya nanjas swarupa gamane prabhavanti bhumna brahmadaya kim uta sangstavane vayam tu tat sarga vishaya api shakti matram. Even personalities like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot understand your position. For you are beyond the moving and non-moving creation. Since no one can understand you in truth, how can one offer you prayers? Interesting question. How can we offer prayers to the Lord if we can't understand him? It is impossible. As far as we are concerned, we are creatures of Lord Brahma's creation. Under the circumstances, therefore, we cannot offer you adequate prayers. But as far as our ability allows, we have expressed our feelings. So we can appreciate the honesty of the devas. We don't know who you are. We don't know how great you are. And so our praises of you definitely fall short, but we've done our best. We've done our best, so please accept our offerings, our prayers. And the last prayer prior to understand. As far as we can see, your presence brings flourishing happiness to everyone. Beyond this, no one can appreciate your activities. We can see this much and nothing more. So we fall short in appreciating your activities, and therefore we're not going to be even able to fully appreciate if hopefully you will reciprocate with our desire that you take care of this this poison. But in any case, this is our request. We can see this much and nothing more. Vyaktihi te avyakta karmana. Your activities are avyakta, they're unmanifest. To indeed oblige the devas by accepting their request and drinking the poison, which is so much troubling them. And it's perhaps just an interesting detail, but I've happened across a description of this pastime taken from the Shiva Purana. And it answered a question that I was wondering about. And the question in my mind was, when Lord Shiva drinks the poison, which it's described somehow, all this poison which has been spread everywhere, he's able to gather together into the palms of his hands and he drinks. How is it? It just goes to his throat and doesn't go further. Well, that's explained in the Shiva Purana. Does anyone want to know the explanation? Okay. So the explanation is, well, first of all, here in the Bhagavata Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's interesting that Lord Shiva is speaking to Bhavani, his good wife, who's also referred to as Sati in verse 36, which I found surprising considering that we're in the 8th canto and Sati has already disappeared in the 4th canto to appear again as Parvati, but perhaps she is also again referred to as sati. In any case, he's consulting with his wife. He's saying, I want to help these people because I see it as my duty to help those who are in distress. In fact, it describes Lord Shiva as being greatly distressed by this situation, distressed at the distress of the others. In verse 36, tat viksha vyasanang tāsam kripaya brishapidita. Brishapidita is translated here as greatly aggrieved. Lord Shiva is expressing his concern to Sati, to Bhavani, and his determination. He says in verse 38, asam prana paripsunam videyam abhayang hime. Something must be done, videyam. This comes from vidhi, which means a regulation, something to be done, some order, like a rule. And then vidheyam, the gerandav, is it is to be done. So he says vidheyam abhayam. Here translated as safety. So in effect, he's saying there's a safety rule here. For the sake of well-being, for safety, dina paripalanam, the complete protection of dina. And the word dina is sometimes translated as fallen or sometimes as wretched. Let's see if we can find a dictionary meaning of dina here. 1 second. Just now coming. It's one good thing about the internet. You can search Sanskrit dictionary. Dina here is translated as depressed or afflicted or timid or sad, miserable, wretched, distress, wretchedness. Yeah, so all these shades of meaning are there. And paripalanam, pala, we know this word, gopala, protector of the cows. And so Lord Shiva is also a pala, a protector, but he wants paripala, he wants to completely protect. He wants to protect in all respects. He wants to protect on all sides. So he decides to do this. He gives some more explanation of why he's going to do it. One reason he gives is that if you perform benevolent activities for others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased. Which leads me into another subject I was reminded that I might say something more about this time. And that is the subject of engaged Vaishnavism. This expression in English, engaged Vaishnavism, is borrowing in modern times from the Buddhist tradition. in recent Buddhist, some places, maybe not all, but especially we hear about it in Western American Buddhism, but it's not limited to American. Engaged Buddhism was the idea that it's time for us monks who are sort of quietly living quietist lives in our monasteries. It's time for us to get out and, excuse me, and engage in the world, to influence, to do what we can to help people, to improve the situation, to stand up for people who are being oppressed, to be politically active, and so on. And this has been somewhat, as far as I know, in the Buddhist world, it's also been controversial, where some will say, no, the business of the monks is to be in the monasteries and to simply act as guides for the lay persons, for the regular people, that sort of thing. So one of my godbrothers, Yogeshwar Prabhu, in New York, for many years now, I think he's been concerned that we should not, as Vaishnavas, be passive observers of the world only, but rather it is quite appropriate for devotees to engage in the world to relieve suffering of people. And so he as part of his desire to do something about this, he took up academic study. He studied in New York, did a master's degree, and wrote a master's thesis on the subject of engaged Vaishnavism, in which basically he's arguing, as far as I could see looking briefly at it, he's arguing that one can see a kind of progression over time. He goes all the way back to Vedic times and comes forward. He describes the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then to make this point that it is fitting to the tradition to be engaged in the world. And it struck me that this seems to be what Lord Shiva is saying here. When he says to his gentle wife, Bhavani, when one performs benevolent activities for others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is very pleased. And he goes on to say, and when the Lord is pleased, I am also pleased, along with all other living creatures. Therefore, let me drink this poison, for all the living entities may thus become happy because of me. And then he drinks the poison. Now, back to the Shiva Purana. You're wondering, how is it that the poison just stayed in his throat? The answer is that when Bhavani realized what was happening, what Lord Shiva was actually doing, she became alarmed. She jumped up. She ran to Lord Shiva, and apparently she had right at hand a snake. She grabbed the snake, put it around Lord Shiva's neck, and tied it tightly so that the poison would not go further down. Now, at this point, one could take Bhavani's action as desiring to prevent the poison from going down, because then Lord Shiva would become poisoned. Maybe he will die. But one explanation is quite other than that. Namely, if the poison would go to the stomach of Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva has such a powerful fire in his stomach, he would have destroyed the poison in his stomach. And you may say, but that would have been very good if he would destroy the poison. No. Poison must be there. This is, in case you haven't noticed, the material world. And in the material world, there is happiness, and there is distress, and there is nectar, and there is poison. This is the world of duality. So Lord Shiva is protecting the world because also this was pointed out. He was quite ready to take the poison because for him, there's no difference between poison and nectar. In this way, he's very different from the devas who simply wanted amrita, nectar. So Lord Shiva, of course, is completely above these dualities. But Parvati, or Bhavani, who is Durga, who is maintaining this world, she stops the poison from being destroyed. Okay, now related to this, because who can avoid thinking about it in the present day of this pandemic, that we have a poison spreading all over the planet, and we are all very much affected by this. And we are getting news that vaccines are being prepared or have been prepared, and that these vaccines are now becoming available. And so the question came to me from, it was from Pandava, I think, who is with us today, that whether I plan to be vaccinated. And I guess I said, yes, we are registering to be vaccinated. And he wanted to hear more about this because he is not convinced that it's a good idea to be vaccinated. So first I would say it's a very interesting phenomenon that there is a lot of hesitation or strong rejection of vaccination. And it's understandable. Why should we be having something injected into our body which might be worse than the disease? That's certainly a fear. And which is, in fact, if we understand what is a vaccine, we can say a vaccine is a type of poison. It's a toxic substance, which is to say it's a substance which is designed in order to fool the immune system. Essentially, that's what it's doing. It's waking up the immune system, and it has the effect, or it's supposed to have the effect, of training the immune system. so that if and when this very dangerous virus itself comes, and types of vaccine, and these new vaccines apparently, although we are hearing on the one side that they've been produced, they've been developed exceedingly quickly, and therefore how can we trust them? On the other side, it's being said that the foundation, the science behind the making of these vaccines has been in the process of being developed over the last several years. Yes, there's been an acceleration of production for these particular vaccines, but the science behind it, it's a different kind of, a different kind of poison. So what I want to say is not a big defense of taking vaccine. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. When I was very small, when I was a small child, my mother, you could say, was an anti-vaxxer. She was, but for religious reasons. That's a long story. Won't go into it, but for quite some time, my brother and I were not vaccinated for any of the standard things that small children are vaccinated for. And then eventually we were vaccinated, and I think I was too small to understand why the change, why my mother agreed, but in any case, she did. But in this case, a possible hesitation about this, but I'm taking a cue here from a grammar point from the Sanskrit language. In Sanskrit language, there are different verb moods, and one of them is the imperative mood, and one is the optative. In English, we call it optative mood. And both of these are quite strong, urging one to do something. An example in Bhagavad Gita of the imperative mood is the verb vraj, in the famous verse 1866, Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Vraja is in the imperative mood, go. It's like you're telling a child, do this, and you're not giving any options. You're saying, just do it. An example of the optative mood is in chapter 6, Bhagavad Gita, udaret atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet. That udaret means one should elevate, one should raise up the mind. So the tone here is that if you want to advance in yoga, you must elevate your mind. But there's this condition. It's only if you want. If you don't want to elevate yourself in yoga, then don't worry about it. So the optative is a kind of invitation, but it's a very strong invitation. It's like, if you want this result, then you're really going to have to do this. You really should do it. So here, I think we might apply this to, I'm thinking in terms of public, public responsibility. that the government should not be commanding, forcing, because that would be draconian. But they can give very strong encouragement, and they may give conditions. So, for example, if you do not take the vaccination, if you don't get a vaccination for this, then you will not be allowed, let's say, to go to take a flight on an airplane or on a ship, or you will not be able to go to school. You'll not be able to be in certain public situations and so on. So anyway, that's a consideration. Yeah, Daityesha is mentioning here, most of the deaths from COVID have been from the treatment and not because of the virus. Well, the treatment in this case is the giving of ventilation. This has been, I think, the big problem, that instead of giving oxygen, because anyway, it's complicated from what I've read. But just giving ventilation, what happens is, in order to do that, they basically have to put you in artificial coma. And what happens when they put you in artificial coma is you may not be able to recover. You may not be able to gain the strength back in order to for your body to take charge again, even if the immediate threat, as you said, of the virus may not be there, but you lose that power for the body to recover itself. Yeah, I think the treatments, those who have received, who have become infected and then they go to hospital, I think the treatment is at a very crude stage at present. But what I'm speaking about is more prevention, not treatment. So I'm speaking aloud. I'm not completely convinced. I don't want to try to persuade anyone. I want to say I think everyone should be free to make their own decision. And I agree, it's probably too early to know whether these vaccines are actually doing what they're supposed to do and what the side effects of them might be. It's very early. So, you know, some months from now, we might start hearing reports and getting statistics and so on. But the idea of sort of the fundamental idea of being imposed upon by the state, I don't think that's quite relevant here. We're being imposed upon in so many ways. As soon as soon after we're born, we are under the laws of the state, which is to say our parents are under the laws of the state about taking care of us. And then as we get older, we're under the laws of the state. We have to go to school. There are so many ways that our bodies are controlled. So whether to say we're not going to get an injection because of this is appropriate, I'm not so convinced. One way that we do a kind of, what do I want to say? There is the Chinese medical system of acupuncture. And some of you may have had acupuncture treatments. It's been a long time, but I had one 2 or 3 times, I guess. So that's also a kind of interference in the body. There's another kind of interference. Some of you, I think, have tattoos. And tattooing is putting some color in your skin in a permanent way, which also has a response from your immune system. And from what I read, when you have a tattoo, it means that your immune system will be resisting that ink or whatever it is for the rest of your life. So that's one thing your immune system has to do. So vaccine is a kind of awakening of the immune system for a specific purpose, not necessarily a bad thing as such. And I always like to remember what Srila Prabhupada said about medicine in general. He was asked, as I recall, whether Ayurveda was good or what is, this system of medicine or that system of medicine. And the response from Srila Prabhupada was, whatever works. Okay, we have Sabina Remskar warning us not to take the vaccines because they have heavy metals which change the DNA. Well, I'm a little, maybe that's true. I'm not so sure. One of the things that's happening, unfortunately, the whole subject of vaccination has become very polarized. And so you get, as you try to do, if you try to do some research on this on the internet, you come across as much inaccurate information as accurate information, if not more. And this is another kind of pandemic, I would say, is the spread of disinformation through electronic media. So we can also pray to Lord Shiva as the form of Lord Vishnu in connected to this world. That if he's swallowing poison, could he please also swallow poisonous misinformation, anything which is not helping us, which is misdirecting people rather than directing them. Yeah, I thought also just prayers. I was thinking about Prahlad Maharaj's prayer in the 5th canto, that very nice prayer that he is praying for the well-being of everyone. Svastyastu vishvasya kala prasidatam, dhyayantu bhutani shivam mitodiya, manascha badram bhajatarat hoksha jaya veshatam no matir apya hetuki. Swasti astu, let there be auspiciousness. And prasidatam, let the demons become pacified. Let everyone become engaged in bhakti yoga, and in this way everyone can be happy. So I don't know whether we can fit this into any of the 10 categories, or if we have another category here, but it seems to me that it's a very nice sort of prayer, is praying for the well-being of others, not praying for ourselves. Of course, praising the Vaishnavas is one of the categories, praising Guru, praising the Lord, but praying for the well-being of others is very nice. And we have the tradition from Sri Prahlad Maharaj. Right, I think we pretty much covered the topics I was going to mention today. And we've come to our time for ending today. So I will say thank you all so much for joining. And I wish you a wonderful remainder of the day and remainder of the week. And a wonderful Ekadashi Titi tomorrow. And very soon, coming up in February, we're going to have some festivals. Nityananda Trayodashi is coming, and Advaita Acharya appearance. And before you know it, it's going to be Gaur Purnima. So we can begin preparing ourselves to welcome Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Panchatattva. So thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Guru Maharaj ki.
Jai. Jai.
Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Krishna.